Oh, hell yeah. Wyatt begins in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, yo! Welcome to Wyatt, and I'm your host, Wyatt O'Brien Evans. Grrr, woof, goddammit, woof, woof, woof. Ha ha. Hey, to all my YouTubers out there, if you like what you hear, if you like what you see, just click that subscribe button at the bottom of your screen. Just click it. I just love to click it. Now, my peoples, let me tell you something that always makes me feel so good. Well, today's Wyatt travels across the ocean to Sydney, Australia, the land of the kangaroos. I've always wanted to bring a kangaroo home with me so we could hang out. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's neither here nor there. However, our special guest from Sydney, Australia is Mr. Colin Durham. He's this author, y'all, that's making one hell of an impact, and he's blazing this trail across gay erotica romance, y'all. So, Colin will be pulling up to the mic like now. Well, without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Colin Durham to Wyatt. How the hell are you?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm waking up, so I'm great.
Yeah, there is a time differential. Definitely.
Well, yes. Yeah. I spend a lot of my time talking to people in US and UK, so I'm always up extremely late.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, listen, Colin, I really want to thank you for being on Wyatt. Let me tell you that you are a popular author at this point. I mean, you've got 3 works out. You've got Hound, you have Lookout, and then you have Bear Fair, which is the prequel and a novella. So how do you feel about people liking your stuff?
Oh, look, it's great. I mean, I always assumed it will be just really very niche, just tiny market, People had said to me, other authors, that, gay fiction is just a tiny little thing. And,
right.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've been fortunate enough that there is enough romance element in it that I can slip in the back door of the romance thing, although it has been pointed out to me many times that it's not romance, because that is kind of strictly under all their own guidelines, and readers have these expectations of a certain style. Yeah. And I just don't feel I want to compromise that at the moment. The whole point of this is to write something that means a lot to me. So yeah, I wouldn't want to write anything for commercial reasons at this stage. I haven't ever considered that.
Well, you know what, Colin, one of the reasons why I wanted you on the show is because I pretty much do what you do. My Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels is erotica, steamy erotica, but it also deals with male-to-male romance. And I deal with like intimate partner violence and abuse, which is, domestic violence and abuse within the LGBTQ community. So I really get what you're doing, and that's another reason why I wanted you on the show.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm thrilled that you're having me here. Thank you. Yes.
No, please finish.
Oh, no, I was just saying I've covered a little domestic violence, but it's well after the fact. So in Bear Affair, which is actually part of a new book that's coming out any day now. I think it's scheduled for July 23rd, but it's on pre-order now.
Cool.
But yeah, there's one story in there that deals with past abuse. So it's set around a character from Hound and his venturing into a psychoanalyst who's a kind of unorthodox lesbian and entices his history of domestic abuse out of him. So there's been nothing on page, and but I've delved into it, and I've had a lovely Brazilian psychoanalyst who's agreed to advise me, and she's helped me, and she's kind of beta reading it as we speak. Obviously, not a shade on what I'm imagining you're writing, but at this stage, I tend to write about things that I really know, rather than delving into something and risking what might come across as disingenuous. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I totally get that. And we're going to talk about authenticity in writing because that's something I really want to talk to you about. But I'm really into your work. Let me see. I've written stuff down on my cue cards here. Man, your writing is crisp. It's heartfelt. It grabs you from the very beginning. The reader's like this fly on the wall where they're seeing the action just transpire, in real time. And, the hallmarks of a successful author who successfully engages and entertains his audience is what you do. And wow. Character development, man. You've got some really good character development.
Fantastic. Oh, thank you. I just tend to go over and over and over things and try and get as many layers as I can. I'm not one of these people that has a structure. I'm completely chaotic. It's all instinct. It can be a big old wrinkled mess, and then I just have to go through and smooth it all out. But I won't stop until I'm happy with it. I don't like anyone seeing a sloppy manuscript, full of errors or anything like that. So for me, that self-criticism is pretty crucial. But also, from what you mentioned, for me, I want to be as realistic as possible. I want you
absolutely
to think these guys are someone that you're going to meet out one night or somebody that you know. And that's probably another aspect of not being classed as like male-to-male romances. And I was told last night by another author that, I know it's reality, but nobody reads for reality. So, and
that is not true. No, I don't believe that because I don't believe that because people have told me that my series, it's real. It's real life. This is what's happening, dealing with issues that we need to talk about. And people are really thankful that we are doing what we're doing. So.
Oh, yeah. I think probably the gist of that discussion was, no, what you're writing is gay literary fiction. And, there are a lot, fortunately for me, there are a lot, as in there's a lot of readers who are receptive to that. But then there are a lot who aren't, and it's not what they're looking for. So you're right. There's a blur between those boundaries, and of course, the authors of the series and the books that are wildly successful tend to be very much, we're going to write not necessarily to a formula, but we're going to write in that style. Right. And if you deviate, you risk displeasing an established audience. But I guess for relative rookies like me, it's like, I'm not losing an empire, am I? I'm just saying what I need to say. I completely agree. For me, I always loved realistic things, even as a little child. I'm watching Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. I'm not watching Star Wars. I just that part of my brain just doesn't work. I could never watch any fantasy, sci-fi, action, adventure. Just for me, I just sit there and think, no, that's improbable. I can't believe that. No, not interested, sort of thing. For me, my escapism is delving into that interpersonal, interactions between people and really trying to understand them, and that peek, like you mentioned, into other people's lives and just how they tick. That's the fascinating thing for me, and it's always what I seek out when I watch movies, TV, or even when I can find books like that. There aren't a lot of authors that I've come across yet that will cover that, and I guess maybe that's commercial reasons.
Could be.
But having said that, I was prior to being busy in publishing and trying to promote it, I was reading a stack of romance and some gay fiction, just trying to, you survey everybody else and you think, am I doing this right? Is it going to be a debacle? And that sort of thing. And also, I should mention, I never considered self-publishing. I know I've got to get a publisher. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have those skills. I still don't. I just have mainly two beautiful authors that helped me with this latest book.
That's
I
great.
should say. It's self-published because it started off as a promotional thing, being, like you mentioned, a prequel. And then I've added two other novelettes to it. But these two authors, it's a, quid pro quo basis. They hate editing. One of them hates editing, and the other one is very amazing English speaker, but it's still second language, and sometimes it's a little formal for her, and she worries that it's stiff. So I sort of get in and I edit that part of it for them, and then they go, oh, that's great. We'll help you with your promo and your self-publishing. So
that is great.
Skill swapping, I guess.
Well, I have to tell the audience, Colin, that the sex scenes are gritty. They're nasty hot. Let me spell those two words. NASTEEHAWT, nasty hot, which means it's very, very good. So where do you get the inspiration to do the erotic parts?
Well, I go, this is personal experience, but really what I'm taking is I take the personal experience and I throw out all those little things that kind of went wrong, and then I amp it up so it is like the best parts are highlighted and maximized. However, I still want all the realistic parts in it.
Absolutely.
I can't have it be too perfect. I don't want anyone to sit there and think, well, that's not going to happen. That's important to me. So, and I'm so happy, I'm so thrilled that people have picked up on that. And, the relatively modest amount of reviews I get, most of them will mention that. And that to me is really pleasing. One of the best compliments I get, and it's mainly from guys, is, oh, I read this on the train and I had such a huge boner I couldn't stand up. Or another man said, yeah, I blew 50 times over this scene and I'm not exaggerating. So it's like,
I like it.
I've done my job. So yeah.
Yes, you have. I've read some of the reviews, right? One reader says this: Colin Dereham has written a story that digs deep into the headspace and the heart. That's good. Someone else has written a visceral and human connection of body and heart. I mean, that's heavy. That's good stuff.
Oh, look, I'm so pleased. I'm thrilled that people take the time out to read it. I mean, people's time is valuable, and the fact that it then has inspired them to write and review, because it takes time and thought to articulate just so something has affected you, especially when it's this visceral emotional reaction to what I've written. That's amazing. And even the ones that are not so glowing, there's always points in there that will get me thinking and considering, and they all influence my future writing. It's always in my thoughts, and I'm always scanning and thinking, I should consider these things that they said, especially if I felt they misunderstood. It's like, well, then I haven't done my job in getting the message across well enough for some readers. So there's always a good thing. The only reviews to me that I think are whatever are the ones that go, did not finish at 18%. It's like, okay. Well, I totally accept that people's time is valuable. If it's not working for them, stop. But it's sort of like I think that even if somebody hates a book, if they can say why they hate it, it's good for me and it's good for readers, because they might go, oh, but I love that stuff, I want to read it. Or they might go, oh, yeah, I'll give that one a miss, because you don't want to displease people. You'd like there to be a deterrent and a catalyst there, because the potential readership is going to be, really diverse. So
and Colin, constructive criticism is really good. You learn from it. It really, aids to your development. And, everybody's not going to like everything you do. Everything isn't somebody's cup of tea. So you just roll with the lukewarm reviews. But again, like you said, it's really a teachable moment, and it can help you to hone your craft.
Yeah, definitely. And it does. And that kind of criticism really does. It sticks with you, and it's not, you might feel upset initially for, but even if you're ranting and raving and so upset about it, if they've said why, you will think about it. You will look through your new manuscript and go, oh yeah, I really should address that what I'm writing here, because I'm kind of slipping into that habit, or it is getting a bit much like this. And it has. That kind of criticism I've got has been useful.
That's good.
Even writing it off and saying, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. It's not really like that. It's a matter of, if there's one person like that, there's going to be other people, and you want to make sure that you do please as many people as possible. And the people that's not their cup of tea are kind of not wasting their time reading something that they know they won't like. That's focusing on a negative, but really for me too, I'm extremely busy, and the times that I get to read, little tiny bit of time I get to read for pleasure. It's I'd like to read something that's inspiring and rewarding.
Absolutely.
And I understand that for them too. So yeah, that was my reviews. I think I'd like more. I got you. Fantastic.
Don't we all? Now
they're hard to get.
Yeah, and you treasure everyone that you do get. Before we delve into all of your novels, all of your works, let's take a trip through the corridors of time so that our audience can find out what your backstory is. So where were you born and raised?
I was born in Perth. So, that's not really why some of the works, there's bits of it set in Perth, because I left when I was 6, and we all grew up in Darwin. So there was 4 of us. So I had 3 siblings, and mum and dad, and we all lived in this little city right up the top of Australia. So that's at 12 o'clock of your map. That's Minneapolis, but bloody hot, really, really hot. It's like in the Indonesia, it's steamy, not even sit on a beach hot. It's steamy hot. Sit by the swimming pool, and drink lots of beer, sort of hot. However, I was lucky. Even there's a little place. It's very, very isolated. because the nearest towns are small and they're hours away. The nearest city is right down the bottom of Australia. So you've got to go to 6 o'clock to get to it, Adelaide, and the others are even further away. So back then, because it was a long, long time ago, it was very expensive to fly. So we didn't go away once more than every 2 years. However, then I went to uni in Perth, college in Perth for 2 years. So that kind of influenced my knowledge of the area again. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't leave Darwin until I was in my mid-20s. Then I came to Sydney. And that was mainly because of the transient population. Darwin's isolated and it's extreme, and people love being there for a while, but a lot of them all leave. And my family had gone to Tasmania because that's where Dad's side originated from, and they still live in Tasmania. And my siblings moved around a lot. And I was like, well, all my friends have gone. They all went to Queensland for some reason. All these Darwin people just migrate to Queensland. I may as well go to a great big old gay city, and this is what I wrote in one book. We, move to a big gay city, and kind of you get used to it. You stick around. You don't have to learn a new city. Yeah, it's been there for a long time.
Well, here's a question that I always like to ask my guests. Here it is. When you were a little boy, a little nipper, what 3 characteristics or qualities best describe Colin?
Oh,
what were you like? Yeah, what were you like?
I saw this with your Tony Cruz video. I'm not going to say, I sat down with my My Little Pony notebook and wrote lots of stories. No, I didn't. I was loud, argumentative, and defensive from a loud family who argued a lot. Oh, literally, it's kind of like, and I only know this from TV because we don't have a Black American population here, but it's like those loud
I heard that. Yeah,
loud Black American families on TV who are like blah 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 blah. Well, that was my family, so yeah. But interestingly, that's what the defense mechanism too. Not just because of a loud family, but when you're a little kid and people are starting to go, you're a poofter, or, all those slurs, some people draw away into a shell or protect themselves or try and act as straight as they can. For me, it was to be on the defensive attack and have people go, he's a nasty prick, I'm going to stay away from him. And I don't think it's the best way to go, but it was all I knew at the time. So, yeah, I think that's probably why I developed into that personality. Yeah, then I'm mellowed as I got older. You get sensible. So, yeah, I'm not like that anymore.
Well, you know what? That's good to know. I'm just kidding. Okay, let us fast forward to adulthood. And you had a lengthy career in LGBTQ health, correct?
Yeah. So
tell us about that.
Well, I was an opera singer, so I did.
Really?
Yeah. My dad was a music professor at the university, so it was sort of like, you kids are going to learn instruments. And by the time I was 16, it was like, yeah, you can sing. So it was all classical music because of Dad, and he wasn't pleased with me, my brother being into death metal, and me and my sister being into all the rock and pop and stuff. I mean, I'm still in that area, still stuck in the 70s to 90s. I didn't move beyond that. But I did the opera degrees and was offered here. It's basically casual work here. You audition, you sing. It's all chorus. You sing, you get work, fairly well paid for a show. And then months later, you might do another show. So you got to have a normal job. If you go to Europe, it's a different thing. It's all Europe there. Not even the States. That's still a struggle there. Europe, Germany, that's where singers who have money will go and do the rounds, do the auditions, and do their singing. And Australia, and this is a generalization, but they would not look at you as an opera singer unless you've been to Europe. That's basically it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And in between that, if you get established, you can do roles in small companies that generally pay you a fee only for the performance. So all your rehearsals and preparation is gratis, but you'll be sponsored for the performance run. And I did quite a bit of that, but I was never Meryl Streep. I was never a leading lady.
No.
I was Amy Adams. I was the supporting actress. Yeah.
Okay.
Always. Yeah. So to the point where I had to do a romantic lead in 2019, they were like, "Well, haven't you done this before?" And it's like, "No, I've never kissed a girl. Sorry." So I'm pretending here. What about all those roles? It's like, no, I'm always the sidekick. I was never the lead. I was the secondary or tertiary role. What you'd call in Broadway as the featured performer. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, we got off the track there.
LGBTQ
nursing.
health, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I started off because I knew a nurse in a clinic in quite a gay area, although it was a very mixed. It was a general surgery that had gay patients, and she sort of said, "Oh, we really need someone to do the admin," and I did that for a year and a half. By then, I got a job in the LGBTQ clinic.
Okay.
So, look, I should say it's a G&T clinic because it was run by gay doctors. There were probably 40% female doctors too, but it was in the gayest of the gay areas, right where I set some of the books, and it had been there since 1981, so it was all through the AIDS, then HIV era. It's an overwhelming gay population, but also some of the doctors specialised in trans. So we had a lot of trans clients, patients as well. So I did that for 3.5 years.
Okay.
3 years. And then during that time, I'd done my first nursing certificate. Then to get to the next level of nursing, so you have 2 levels there. We have 3. So for me to get to that second level, I had to do back then, it's like an apprenticeship. You kind of do 18 months and you study and you work wiping asses for all day. And I did that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was my stretch in hospital. I was like, okay, this is sending me around the bend. I was like, I want to work in the community. I want to work one-on-one with people. I want, working in the community with post-operative mental health, that sort of thing.
Okay.
You're really concentrating your efforts on one person at home, and then you go to the other home. It was all the medical stuff. And then after doing that for a couple of years, was I was doing more mental health, and then the LGBT clinic said, come back. So I did that for 4 years. So more than 6 years I was there working with the mainly gay and trans population, and that was principally HIV sexual health. They did general, but a lot of people would go there for those reasons. And it was just amazing. It was such an incredible experience. Then following that, I moved into disabilities and mental health, but on the community side, like casework and support work. And I did that for 4 years. So it was still nursing in a way, but it wasn't nursing. It was more kind of being like a lower than a social worker, but that sort of thing. And so that, because here by that time, it sort of changed. Mental health was a nursing area, but that was kind of more.
Okay.
It was more their medical psychiatric needs, whereas then we got this new system in where mental health was then merging in with disabilities. And it was a different area. It was a different award. The award paid better. And I didn't have that glass ceiling with nursing where it's like, you're only this level, you'll never get above it, They appreciated you for your skills, your talents, your dedication, and there was no stopping you. So that was brilliant. And yeah, after that, the blind thing happened. You know, I'd had terrible sight for so long, and it 2020, it got so bad by the end of the year, I had to stop that job because I just couldn't see well enough anymore. So, yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Well,
I adjusted.
question for you.
Yeah.
That was tough. Question, what compelled you to become an author?
I read this site called Lush Stories. I literally wasn't even looking
Lush
for
Stories?
it. Yeah. There's another author I know. I know this lovely, lovely lady in England. No, Ireland. Sorry. Northern Ireland. I really have to make that distinction there. And she said to me, "Oh, I'm a moderator there." I was quite shocked because she writes this straight-laced historical romance, but Lush Stories is all sex, loads of it. A lot of straight, but a lot of bi and gay.
Oh, okay.
And I stumbled across it just Googling a name of somebody, and then this thing came up, Lush Stories by somebody with the same name. And I kind of devoured every gay story in there, and I sort of thought, you know, I could do this, and I could do this well. So for the next year, while I was still working in my job, I was better enough eyesight that on my iPhone, any break I had, tapping away, and that became Hound after a very long time. What started off as me going, I want to do some amateur short stories. I had done a couple in indie gay magazines back in the 90s, like a few of them. Those sort of, alternative press things where you don't get any money, but it was like, wow, look, my story's in a magazine. And then literally I shelved it, walked away from it, and I thought, well, I'll give this a go again. And it just mushroomed because it's such a cliche, but these characters just grew, and I had to explore them further, and that was the learning curve. Me making as many mistakes as possible, writing well over 200,000 words. That then I eventually got down to that 80-something thousand novel. So like the regular length.
And it's like children that you're birthing and that you're developing. And it's really fulfilling because you get so deep into it. It's sort of a feeling that you can't really articulate the way you would like to.
Yeah.
However, let me read a quote statement that you said. You said this: "The writing I've done has been very explicit erotica, but because there's a huge focus on emotional turmoil and relationships, I've been able to sneak in the back door of the gay romance field," end quote. You mentioned that before. Let's dig down deeper into that.
Yeah, I think I started out because my first novel was published in December 31st, which on the side means that I'm ineligible to enter any competition for it because for one day, it's not this year. But I just was like, oh, look, I'll stick it on Instagram. I knew nothing about social media. I had Facebook years before, but I was hopeless at it. And then I really had a crash course to learn these platforms. And I kind of went into some gay literary writing groups on Facebook, and some of them were romance. And I was just, I was naive. I had really no idea about, oh no, this is different. And, people, so now I'm a little bit more wise about it. And I'm saying, this is what my books are like. And, because it's different, say, to, I mean, it's different to what a lot of romance readers might expect, but it's been amazing. That for me has been a great platform because it's so interactive. People will contact me after they've read the book, and you strike up quite a nice friendship with them because they're just, great people and they're so into what they read. I spend countless hours on there. We go back to the romance question. Yeah, so sneaking in that back door. I didn't realize I was sneaking in. But apparently, yeah, I'm playing in the neighbor's pool. So
I like that.
I had to learn
I like that.
the rules. Yeah. I'm kind of a guest. I'm not, that sort of thing. But look, that's been incredible, and that's really a Facebook thing. Instagram tended to be a lot more gay literature, and the romance was just part of that. It seems to not be delineated. It's that whole gay bookstagram area. It's very, very kind of different. But, I'm gregarious enough that I want to interact with people. I want to talk with readers. I really want to know what their thoughts are and that sort of thing. Whereas, as you'd be aware, there are a lot of authors that say things like, I'm too shy. I just talk to the characters in my head, and that kind of cliched recluse author that never comes out into the light,
You cannot do that because, well, first of all, let me back it up by saying that you really utilize social media so well, particularly Instagram. You truly, truly do. And you really engage, with your audience. And you've got to be able to talk to people as an author because you're going to be doing book readings, and actually you have to defend what you write. You really, really do. You have to defend it. And that's not a bad thing because you've got to be able to justify why you write, what you write, and you have to justify what makes your characters real, and three-dimensional. So you got to talk to people. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, and like, for instance, what you're writing, there's an important social comment there, and people need to know about it. They need to know that it's there, and the potential audience will be grateful to know that it's there and want to read it. Because it plugs them in, it connects them to their issues, to things that they might be facing in their own lives. And the fact that then people might think, somebody understands me, somebody really gets what I'm going through. And if you don't get out there and do it for those genuine reasons, well, I shouldn't say that. I do it for genuine reasons.
Right.
If you don't get out there and do that, they won't know. People don't seek these things out. It's not the old days where you go to HarperCollins or whatever and they do it all for you.
Right.
No, you've really got to interact. And even if you don't want to, you can do it for selfish reasons. Literally go, well, this is how I'm going to sell books. Exactly. Fake it till you make it, sort of thing.
Right.
I got to force myself. Kind of like all those Hollywood actors. I don't like to do interviews. Well, it's a job, mate. It's your job.
Right.
Really.
You're trying to sell a product, and you've got to do that.
And it's interesting you might say sell a product too, because people don't like being sold a product. They want to feel like you understand. You know what I mean? They want to feel like you want to have a conversation with them. You want to engage. You're interested in that two-way information exchange. But you're right. You're selling a product, but they don't want you to go buy my stuff. I think people might get a bit confronted by that. So I don't do those posts where it's like newsflash, it's my book, it costs this much. It's more,
right.
I introduce myself, I ask them how they're doing, I encourage them to comment, I tell them about it like I'm talking to a friend, because that's the relationship I want to have. Yeah.
Absolutely. And particularly with Instagram, Colin, the viewer of your posts really get that. You really engage them, which is really, really good. Give us, if you would, the elevator pitches for Hound and Lookout. What are they about in 25 words or less, each one of them?
Okay, well, Hound is about a man living with bipolar disorder who has never had a serious relationship or a relationship.
Okay.
So it's a common thing with gay men that a lot of them they get so used to either anonymous or hookups, a lot of that, and it then becomes very difficult. With this character's bipolar disorder, it has really impacted him in that he doesn't feel stable enough to cope with all those emotions involved in a relationship. And this point in his life is when he meets a man that he is instantly in love with. It's like, I'm 40 and I found this man. And yet this man is the one who suffered domestic abuse, and he's extremely busy, which is an excuse, but also pushes him away. I only want to be friends with benefits. And he can see that this man is so loving and sensual, but every time they're together, he's like that. And then he disappears. He's busy. He doesn't see him for a week or two. And it goes on for months, and this really messing with his head. So that's that one.
Okay.
The Lookout comes after that. And it's only because the established happy ever after couple from Hound come in as a stable two friends to support the main character. The Lookout is there's another guy, a lovely sweet bear, just a beautiful person, and so caring and nice. And his best friend, she moves away to get married and goes to Melbourne. He advertises in a gay site for two new housemates, and this is the fantasy bit. They both show up. They're both so different, but there's instant chemistry, and they have 3 months of just wild, very physically driven sex.
Yeah.
Then the emotional connection deepens, but after a few months, it spirals downwards, and there's a lot of drama after that. So I did get an interview, a review that said, "Oh, insta love," and it's like, well, no, this was 3 men that were having this instant connection that was very physical, and then slowly that connection builds. But it doesn't work magically. It doesn't, it doesn't. There is a lot of trouble to the point where people in my reviews are going, I just cried and cried and cried, and I couldn't write this review from a long time because I was so upset over it. So that's that one.
Yeah, I saw those reviews. Yeah, okay. So the next is Bear Affair.
Yeah, so Bear Affair was written for a promotional thing in Prolific Works. It was only for 2 weeks in June. It was only 17,000. So we had a limit of 20,000. We weren't allowed to go over of words. So we're talking 100 pages. And I wrote that as a prequel because the lead character from Hound and the lead character from The Lookout actually mention this one-night stand they had together that was just explosive. And I really, quite a number of people wanted to know more about that. And I was like, yeah, that's great. Perfect thing to write. I mean, even from a promotional point of view, people sort of like, you think that would then, if they like it, they might move on to the books. But also, just on its own, it covers this bittersweet weekend. And it goes back to Gary, the main character in Hound, and his struggle with bipolar disorder and his massive fear of having a relationship. And then that's combined with 2 other novelettes. So the other one is about a wild weekend between 4 men, but the lead man is suffering blindness. So it's like 95% blind. So he has little tunnels of vision. And this is autobiographical. The Wonderful Foursome isn't autobiographical, but this part is very autobiographical. This is what happened to me when I lost the sight. Fortunately, I got about another 5% back with another 2 surgeries, so I'm not doing as badly. Okay. But at this stage, when I originally wrote the story, I was that bad. So it covers his blindness and how it affects him throughout this wild weekend. And the dynamics of the foursome really clearly seems to delineate into two of these guys and two of those guys developing something more. So that's kind of that one. And you know, it's a contrast to the bittersweet weekend of the Bear Affair story. And then the third story was inspired by a reviewer who's this very caustic, articulate, lovely guy who was very upset about the boyfriend in Hound. And
Okay.
And I thought, okay, you've got a point there. Maybe I haven't explored him enough because I steadfastly stick to one point of view.
I remember that review. I read that one too. Please continue.
Yeah. I steadfastly stick to it. For me, I like stories where we're not spoon-fed everything. And when you get this, you know, Wyatt, Colin chapters, it's sort of like you're telling me the answers. For me, it's like I want the tension of that lead character and not knowing what's going on in the guy's head. Nobody knows. You don't know what's going on in your partner's head unless they tell you and they're truthful. And that to me was really important. So the third story is written, the one with the psychoanalyst and the abuse that I mentioned earlier, that's written about Jeff, the boyfriend from Hound, dealing with what he had in Hound. Yeah. So those are the three contrasting stories based around casual sex. So we've got, you know, a one-night stand or weekend that sadly is bittersweet, and one-night stand that's very hopeful in the second one. And the other one is, I was going to say the F word, but friends with benefits to happily ever after lovers. So those are the three, for me, very important things that a lot of gay men go through with regards to physical or love, and how do they combine? Do they combine? You know, that whole hookups versus relationships thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's my long-winded answer to your short question.
And that's perfectly okay, because you're going to read an excerpt from Bear Affair.
Yes. Yeah, I did find one.
So just give us a setup and...
Yeah, well, so sorry?
No, you know, give us your setup and then that reading.
Right. Gary meets Angus on a wild night out with his best friend, who's a drag queen singing at a gay bear bar. And yeah, so he has this amazing chemistry with him. But unlike in the following novel, Hound, he's not ready to embrace that. So they have this incredible night together, and for him, it's the first time it has transcended the physical. You know, he's been attracted with guys. He's hoped, but it's never gone through with it. And this is just massive chemistry for him. So the scene would start. They've had their long night. He's feeling really upset about the fact that he knows that he can't go through with this because it really... Yeah, it's clashing in his mind that he's got this wonderful man, but he's ruled it out as not going any further. So they're literally in a shower within his room, and that was inspired by this gay movie I saw where there's two guys from college stay with his family, and they're staying in a bedroom, and I'm like, there's a shower in the bedroom, a glass shower cubicle, and that's a device because the gay friend is watching the straight friend get naked and get in the shower, and that gives them the sexual tension.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, Gary and Angus are in the shower, so that's where the scene starts. And I will start from here. So they're basically, there's only a little bit of playing here. He says a JO session. Stunningly beautiful, seeing his face as he gives himself pleasure. I search his features, trying to imprint them in my mind so I can recall them in the future, for when I'm feeling lonely or lost, for when I'm desperate for comfort, for when I need to be reminded that life is worth living. As our hands speed up, our breathing increases. The tension in my dick rises sharply, and I notice a visceral sadness working its way over Angus. He's trying hard not to show it, but a small gasp escapes him and his body tenses over and over. I can't stop a strangled cry as my fist gives one final hard rub and sperm rockets out of me. My hand pulses just underneath the rim of my engorged knob, coaxing every spurt, keeping the intensity going until I'm completely spent. Our euphoric moment is steeped in melancholy. Angus slumps his head against mine and I cling onto his body, holding him as if my entire life depended on it. The final act. Drying and dressing is done in silence, but I'm not ready for it all to be over yet. There's a new bakery just down the street, Angus. I'm going to duck down there and get us some coffee and croissants. Angus smiles, but his eyes shift a little. That's so nice of you, mate, but I don't want to keep you... His voice dies off, because I'm onto him already. I've moved a chair next to the huge sash window, and I've opened it right up. I know you're hanging for a smoke, buddy, so you're going to sit here and have one while I'm gone. No arguments. I stroll past him, pull his head towards my lips, and land a firm kiss on his brow. I want to do a lot more than that, but I need to restrain myself. The cute little twink at the bakery gets my coffees done super quick. He's so lovely. I leave him a tip, though I'm aware it's not the kind of tip he'd like. In any case, I'm back at the apartment lickety-split, where I thrust Angus a flat white, 2 packets of sugar, and a croissant in a bag. Sorry, I didn't know how you took your coffee. Hope this is okay. Gee, thanks, mate. Angus looks touched, and he sits down at my little table and dumps both sugars into his cup. He inhales his croissant as fast as I do mine. I guess big hungry bears skipping dinner is not such a great idea. When we down the last of our coffees, Angus looks at me with a sad smile. I can't bear it. I walk over to him, usher him to stand, and wrap him in the most bone-crushing bear hug I can muster. Maybe if I hold him hard enough, this won't hurt so much. Maybe if my hug is strong enough, he won't see the pissweed man inside me, the one who's falling to pieces, the one who's completely incapable of normal human feelings. I've got to go, he whispers, his warm breath caressing my ear. I can't seem to let him know. My arms just won't give way. It's a long, long while before I can bring myself to release him. Angus gathers his jacket and satchel and walks to the door. Let me give you a lift, I blurt. I'm desperate. I know I have to end this, but I just can't face the finality of it all. Please, mate. I muscle my way over to him, but he stops me with a hand to my chest. No, Gary, it's easier for me this way. He looks up at me and tries to smile, but a small tear rolls down his cheek. He quickly turns his head, catching it with his sleeve. Opening the door, he pats my chest twice, but he doesn't turn back. I follow him out and watch him disappear down the hall, holding my breath as my body heaves with sobs that I just can't let escape. There we go.
Thank you. I love it, man. Detail, great story, wit, some humor. I like it. Question.
Yeah.
Let's say that magically you could no longer be a literary artist. What would be the alternative for you and why?
Oh, I would probably just go back to doing what I did before, working with the community in mental health. I found that really rewarding. I haven't done singing for a few years, mainly because of my eyesight. It's impossible reading a score in German or Italian with all the little music markings and everything and all the foreign words. And that's such a massive part of learning. Plus the fact that running around stage up and down rickety scenery was already becoming a big hazard for me, especially in all these costumes and things. So I haven't sung Although I do sing backups on an indie band record every now and then. So
That's great.
yeah, it's a band called the Colliding Scopes, and they've got a new single, but I don't have the details this week. Amazing video. I'm just like the guy has so many friends in the industry, managed to get quite a slick video made by his contacts because there's no money in it really, and for my role, it's with my classical background, I can score and arrange all the backing vocals, and with classical singing, you learn to make different sounds with your voice. You don't have just one rock voice. I can go low, I can go high, I can get different textures and make it sound like there's a group of backing singers rather than just me.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's good. That's very occasional. So that's not really a career. And those are the things I would do if I wasn't writing.
Got it. What do you have on tap for the rest of 2022? What's going on?
Well, this one night stand book is coming out it's coming out this week, but it's going to be available from the 23rd or 24th now on Amazon. That's sort of pre-order now. And I also have 2/3 of a novel still in this Bondi. See, the novels are all set or people that live in Bondi, which is a really trendy beachside area of Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a reasonable gay population there, a lot of tourists. It's a lovely beach, in summer. And, in summer you can go swimming at night in there too. It's just
nice.
I don't have the money to live there, but, it's a great location. And even though a lot of stories, they might be traveling or they might move somewhere else for a while, they're based there. So this is new characters. It's kind of like, if I was to use tropes, it's like second chance, stepbrothers, second chances, gay parents, that sort of thing. And it's about two guys that their parents marry, and of course they're not allowed to do anything until they're 18. So literally it happens on the youngest one's 18th birthday, and the family falls apart and they don't see each other for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And then, in a different part of Australia, they meet by chance again. And one of them is now a parent, and in the throes of a divorce. The other one's had a lot of grief and loss in the intervening years. And it's about how they develop that relationship that started when they were 14. And it's always, they right from the beginning, there was something there. And that will later this year. I mean, I've got 2/3 of it written, and I've got the rest drafted out, but it's all put on hold for the Bear Affair, which then sprung into this one night stand book. So that's me writing for the rest of this year.
Well, Mr. Prolific, how can we purchase all of your works?
Well, they're all on Amazon now. And every social media I've got that I can have is Colin Dereham. So it's just at Colin Dereham So Facebook, Instagram, my website's colindereham.com. And that's the one where I put all the book reviews and the pictures of bears, which...
I love them. I love those pictures.
Yeah. So I stick the previews because you can't be naked on Facebook and Instagram. Unless on Instagram, if you got 20,000 followers, they'll allow you a little butt, maybe a little pubic hair or something, but they only if you're popular enough, and that's not me. But on WordPress, you're allowed to have nudity but not sex. So that's where I can put the bears in their birthday suits, and I put that once a week. And if you look at my graph, it goes up every Wednesday, Thursday, because that's when I put those posts on.
I wonder why.
it's and it's not like, I have to do this. It's like I get as much out of this as I I do, but I just hope people don't look at my iPad and see how many naughty photographs are on it. It's like, read it. It's for my job. It's not for me.
Mr. Colin Dereham, I want to thank you for dropping by. Wyatt, you've got to come back.
Oh, look, you're amazing. Thank you so much. And I'm really thrilled that you saw the book and thought of me. It's a big surprise, and thank you. Very pleased.
Listen, it's my pleasure. I mean, you've got so much talent, so I had to have you on.
Oh, I'm really, really glad to be, and I'm very glad that people are watching, and it's an incredible honor.
Well, thank you, sir. So, there you have it. You can find the official Wyatt podcast page on WyattEvans.com, the go-to destination for LGBTQ news, features, commentary, and entertainment. And WyattEvans.com is visited by more than 100 countries on the regular. Yeah, baby! And WyattEvans.com is where you'll find my smoking hot, HAWT, hot, Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels. And y'all, the current installment is titled Frenzy! Yeah, I said Frenzy. And y'all, Frenzy is just chock full of steaming masculine romance, danger, intrigue, action, and all the heat, all the passion of 1,000 million blazing suns. Yeah. And its predecessor is entitled Rage. Now, my listeners, my peoples, my viewers, get ready for Delirium. That's the sequel, the upcoming sequel in the Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels. And I will give y'all more information on that as the time goes by. Now, if you want to be a guest on Wyatt, or you just have comments, email me at wyattonair@gmail.com. And you can follow me, Wyatt O'Brien Evans, your host, on Facebook.com/Wyatt O'Brien Evans, at Twitter at Mr. Woe, MisterWoe, and on Instagram at Sir.WyattOfficial. Yeah. So until next time, y'all, woof, goddammit, woof, woof, woof.